Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Rick. Got a video today from Strong Successful Male. Husband goes scorched earth on wife and lover after he finds out that their daughter isn't his. What? Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. It's chow time. Okay, this was suggested by you guys, and a lot of you guys really wanted to see my reaction on this. Let's check it out.
Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's our guy. He's 67 years old. He is a grandfather, a great-grandfather, married, successful business his whole life, and retired now. And he shares his story as a warning to all the guys out there to never take back a cheater. Ever. Cheating girlfriend, certainly cheating wife. And when you're done because you are never going to get over it. You're never going to forget, you're never going to trust, or ever get those images out of your head. And you're going to see in our story, guys, he thought he had a happy marriage with multiple kids and all that, the works, and then finds out through an unconfirmed from a source that his wife has been cheating on him, and it is a whole giant mess. And initially, our guy handles it like a boss, scorched earth. But then you're going to see what happens to a lot of guys. He starts missing his family, the kids, the old life, and then makes a decision that, well,
Hey, I admit it myself. I miss my married life a little bit too.
you know, certainly something that I don't agree with, and years looking back, he knows was a mistake. But anyhow, you're going to see he's sharing this story to really help warn guys out there. And I know some of you guys will be tempted to just go away right now, but I think you should hear this guy's story, particularly you dating and relationship guys, because there's a lot of guys here, whether you want to admit it or not,
I'm one of
get
them.
married one day. You know, you listen to the stories, you take in the knowledge to help yourself be armed, to protect yourself, which is good. But you got to know these things and listen to guys that have been around the block, and hopefully, you know, kind of like, you know, the Christmas Carol with Scrooge and Marley. Marley's ghost comes and warns Scrooge. He doesn't change his ways. He can suffer his fate as well. This guy is like Marley's ghost coming to warn future generations. Don't make the mistake he made and all that. But anyhow, yeah. So definitely one to learn from, and hopefully you'll take something from this, guys. He says, "Hello SSM. I enjoy your channel's advice, humor, and wisdom. I would like to share a precautionary tale of my adult life. I'm 67 years old now and remarried to my first wife. She's the only wife I ever had." Remarried to your first wife? Smack! Sir, if there was enough reason to divorce her the first time, then most certainly you shouldn't have been remarried her. Now, I know you know this, and this is a precautionary tale to help guys out, but I have to say it. We met in the summer of 1975, right after graduating high school, and we've been together ever since, except for a year of being divorced. 1 year, huh? Both of us were virgins, as was the norm in those days. I was living at home and working, and she had an apartment with her friend, but we saw each other each day and had SCX every day. Good times. 1970s. In the spring of 1976, she became pregnant, which was my fault, and we were married in June. It was an earlier time when you got a girl pregnant. It was in an earlier time, so when you got a girl pregnant, you married her. We both had average factory jobs in the Rust Belt and had the basics to support our life. Well, I say it about now. I absolutely say it now that, guys, you get a girl pregnant in today's world, the 2020s. This isn't like back in the days he's described. She gets pregnant, that does not mean you have to marry her, okay? All right? And I guess probably some old school people here are going to give me shit about that, but really? No. Because how many marriages came about because of that? Girl got pregnant and they were too young, too inexperienced, too immature.
I might disagree with it a bit. Like, I think it's actually a good thing. Some men, that accidental pregnancy gets them into the mode of fatherhood and, you know, responsibility. Some don't. So I don't fully agree with SSM on this particular one, but I do agree that you got to be careful.
Mature, and it was a fucking miserable marriage. Now, obviously, some marriages turned out okay after that, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the point. If you want the best for your child, and if you actually care for your child, I would suggest it. But most people don't seem to care about their children as much anymore, so it is what it is.
That's your child. Okay, you have an obligation. You do, guys, if that is indeed your child after
Agreed.
the proper testing is done, to provide for that child. I mean, you got to marry the mother you barely know or have nothing going with. But anyhow, you did what at the time was what you felt was the right thing to do. After having our daughter in December 1976, I became very motivated to improve our lives and with a different path in employment and for our future.
You see what I mean? Sometimes it just gives that men or some men that little to get things going.
Family. I wanted my spouse to be an at-home mom and wife. Well, good for you, Dad, for saying, okay, now I got a kid here. I want to give my family a great life. Good for you. You should always striving to do better.
Always.
I found technical training and after completion started a career in mining, which I was highly paid. We moved to another state for the employment opportunity, soon bought our first home and settled in. This was in 1979. Our married family life was good and my wife could be a stay-at-home mom and wife, and I was good with that. Okay, there you go. In 1982, we sold our home and bought a bigger home in a new neighborhood. We soon met another couple that were our age, had a child like us, and our own economic level, and we became best friends and hung out all the time.
Oof. Sounds fishy already from that.
1982. I was 4 years old.
I wasn't
My wife
born.
and the other couple's husband, who I will call Gray, became very good friends. Gray was an athlete in high school, scratch golfer, athletic build, and competitive. Did you say your wife and the other couple's husband became very good friends? No. No. There's no your wife becoming good friends with another dude. I don't care if, like, there's a group of couples you hang out with in the same neighborhood or stuff like that. You can be friendly, y'all get together, but those two becoming good friends, no. Terrible idea. And just the same, if you're a married woman watching this and your husband becoming a good friend with another woman, no. There's no good friends. These are just two people that want to hook up. And sadly, sometimes do hook up. When you get married, having friends of the opposite sex, bye-bye. You can be acquaintances, but that's it. Nothing good comes from that, and you all know what I'm talking about here.
Agreed.
In early 1983, my wife and I decided to have our second child and soon became pregnant. Our son was born uneventful in early 1984. In late 84, the mining industry had a severe downturn and I found myself unemployed. My father had started a business doing work for the mining industry and I decided to help him with the business, which was a startup and required a lot of work with many, many hours. In early 1985, my wife became pregnant again, which was not planned. Our daughter was born late 1985. All right, so you got 3 kids now. The business was at an inflection point, and I was working 70, 80 hours a week, and money was marginal.
I know the feeling.
You're a hard worker, man, but you had to do what you had to do. Now you got 3 kids to feed and a wife and a mortgage.
I was lucky I got 0.
At this time, I had little time at home with the kids, my wife, and not much time to socialize with our couple friend. I continued to notice the closeness of my wife and Gray, but I had 100% trust in my wife and never thought about a problem. Oh, man. Too trusting. So
It's us men. We're pretty gullible when it comes to women, especially the women we love.
what's going on here, guys? Our guy here is busting his tail 70, 80 hours a week to take care of his family. He joined his father with his startup business. And newsflash, when you start a business, you're usually working a lot of fucking hours, especially in the beginning. Probably.
Guys, I got the donut shop coming up. We're going through the lease agreement now. We have to clean up the whole store. I got to freaking get employees. I got to get a baker. I got to do all these things with my partner and I, talking with our lawyers and stuff. Whew! It's a lot of work. Like, to be constantly growing, to be constantly pushing to be better, it's never easy, guys. I'm not saying it is, but it should be worth it in the end. Sometimes it isn't. I know that. Sometimes people are rich or well off or whatever it is, but they're miserable. Try not to be.
Very little return in the beginning, but he's doing what he has to do. And he's not around very much. You know how this whole story goes. In 1987, my dad, who was a Korean combat veteran and very wise, asked me one day on a business trip if my wife and I were swapping with Gray and his wife.
Ooh.
I asked him, why the hell would he ask me that?
Damn.
Dad says it's common knowledge, son, that 2 blue-eyed people cannot produce a brown-eyed child, which my youngest daughter was. I got very
Ooh.
mad at my dad in full denial and said there was no way he did not know what he was
Damn, Dad knows Punnett Squares very well.
he didn't know what he was talking about. Dad took the hint and shut up. Next day home, I asked my wife point blank if she was having an affair with Gray, and she denied it and got mad at me for asking. Just friends was the answer. Okay, let's remember, she got really mad at him for dare asking such a thing. Being so tunnel vision on the business, I let it go and continued on. You should have been doing some digging, but you had.
It's hard to say, SSM, just because the success of the business matters so much to your future that, yeah, I could see you letting some things go on the wayside and your relationship and your wife.
Be there running the business. You had
I'm
a
not saying it's a good thing.
family support and all
I
that.
understand.
The business started becoming successful and more income was coming in. The kids were growing, our family was thriving, and my wife wanted to work outside the home, and she came to work for a business and ran the office. In 1992, we built a new home in a better school district and moved, not far from our old homes. Our assets were becoming more substantial, and we were on a steep trajectory financially. I was still working 60 plus hours a week. Well, bro,
It never ends, guys. I told you guys I work almost 80 hours a week. Some of the guys don't believe me, but I have a normal job, plus I do this, and then I'm trying to get the donut shop running and other things. You can fill your time, guys. I don't care about free time as much. I don't care about going out to enjoy whatever it is needs to enjoy. I'll put the 3 years, 4 years in. I told you guys my plan. I plan on like probably leaving the country within 4 years or so. It's part of all of what I'm doing now that I have to work my ass off to meet my goals.
putting aside the thing with the wife and the daughter's eyes being brown, the daughter's eyes being blue, whatever the fuck color the daughter's eyes
Blue,
were, I can't remember
brown.
this point,
They're
but
blue.
anyhow,
The daughter's brown.
I'm happy your business is thriving. But notice he said even though the business is thriving, he's still working 60 plus hours a week. Nobody owns a business that does not work 60 plus hours a week.
True.
My wife had become close to a female employee at our business, and they were friends. One day in 1995, my wife's friend came into my office, shut the door, and said she had something to tell me. She said the guilt of knowing was eating at her. She told me that my wife and Gray, who she knew, had been having an affair for almost 12 years.
12 years? Oh, that hurts. Hurts my soul. Ugh.
12 years. And why is this woman out of the goodness of her heart telling you this? What motive is there?
She wants him.
Sounds like your old man, obviously your old man was right. She also told me that Gray had dumped her in 1994 and that she had SEX with one of Gray's friends also after Gray ended it. Your wife was dumped by her lover of 12 years and then she hooked up with another one of his friends. She then said that she was quitting and not coming back. I've never seen her since that day. I instantly went numb and cold. Later that evening, after all the employees were gone, I confronted my wife. She initially denied it, of course, but then admitted to a one-time encounter with Gray. Oh, you were adamant about this, nothing happened now. You were adamant about when I brought this up years ago, nothing happened. And now you're saying, but now all of a sudden it's one time. Meanwhile, I have a little bird telling me it's been 12 years and probably many times. Then something went off in my head. Remembering my dad, I said, oh my God, our youngest daughter is not mine, is she? She broke down into hysteria, crying, sobbing, incoherent, telling me what I suspect is true. So she went full Tuskin Raider on you, huh? If you're new here, if you don't know what a Tuskin Raider is, for heaven's sake, and you all should, watch Star Wars. There's somebody who's not going to know.
like Star Wars.
I once saw in the comment section, somebody's like, what is he talking about, Tuskin Raiders? What does that mean? Everybody's seen Star Wars. At least see the 3 original movies.
Yeah, the 3
You can forget
originals.
about,
Everything else.
okay,
fuck
we
that.
can debate and argue about the Star Wars movies. But anyhow, the original trilogy, we can all agree they were great. That's where the Tuskin Raider's from. She went full Tuskin Raider on you. I took her home in silence. I wouldn't take her home. Like, bitch, you can walk. I went upstairs and started packing. I moved out that evening and she stayed clear of me. Cell phones were still primitive in 1995, but I had one, as did she. She called me the next day, and I told her I thought she was lying about the one-time deal, and did she know our daughter was Gray's. She denied it, and I said the conversation is over. I'm sorry, man.
It sucks.
I really am. You know what's going on here. Oh, you were gone all the time. You were working. I was alone. He
never paid any attention to me. And he was just there. He was so comforting.
attention to me. A man's busting his ass to provide for his family, his ever-growing family, and this is the thanks he gets. And guess what? If he wasn't away all the time busting his ass, she'd be complaining they didn't have enough money. There's no fucking winning here. Within 2 weeks, I was moved into an apartment and was in contact with a law firm that represented our business. Man, why couldn't she move out? And I feel bad for your kids because, they're not seeing their...
I think that's why he moved out, SSM, is because the kids are there. So he'd rather just take himself out of the picture for now, at least, so he can cool down. And just at least the kids are kind of, with the mother and with the house that he knows is safe. That's just my thought process.
Bad. But you had every right to leave. It's just unfortunate that you had to move out.
Of course.
They had 2 divorce attorneys, and one was a pit viper, an expensive pit viper at that. I met with the attorney, and he asked me what outcome I wanted. They told me that since my daughter was 9 years old, the courts would not allow me to shrink the child support, and our state was a no-fault 50-50 state, and half is gone. Since I was convinced my daughter was not mine, they said a court-ordered blood test would happen, and if not mine, no alimony. No alimony.
Nice.
DNA testing was in its infancy then and expensive. I asked the attorney what my options were to fuck up Gray's and my wife's lives. The attorney said that we could go to the paternity fraud and alienation of affection route. Note, at that time in my state, this was doable in civil court. I told him I wanted to drain Gray and my wife financially dry and drag them through the mud. In other words, you want to go scorched earth. Nobody can blame you.
I never blame people that want to go scorch earth. I just don't ever suggest it. You never know what can come back at you when you do some of these things. You really don't. Just karma. Karma is a problem to me. I'm a big guy of karma.
He warned the downside was our kids would be involved, and obviously it would destroy our family, going scorched earth, and possibly my relationship with my children.
That's the reason.
Well, I'm glad he's telling you this.
Yeah, I'm glad he knows. He knows. He chose what he wanted to choose. I can't fault the man. He did what he wanted.
The attorney told me that my cost would be $50,000 plus, and remember, this is in $1995. I talked to my dad about it, and he said he didn't want me to harm the kids, but it was my decision. In the meantime, my wife kept calling me, and I finally got her to admit that our daughter is probably Gray's, and she did indeed carry on a multi-year affair, but insisting they only slept together 7 times in over a decade.
Wow. Right.
Notice how let's backtrack here, guys. Remember how she denied it ever happened, and then finally, okay, it was one time. Now it's a multi-year thing, and your daughter's likely not yours, but we only slept together 7 times in 12 years. Yeah, okay. I'd have a hard time believing they slept less than 7 times per year.
You're right.
But we're not done yet. When asked why, she said that she felt lonely and ignored by me, and at times I was not loving towards her. In other words, you're gone all the time. Yeah, taking care of our family, doing what I had to do. The mining sector collapsed in 1984, whatever it was. I had to do something. I was working with my dad, putting food on the fucking table, paying the mortgage, where you didn't have to work. Yeah, maybe I could have tried paying attention a little bit better. Maybe you should have communicated to me in a way I understand, not dropping hints at me and expecting me to be a goddamn mind reader. Then maybe this would have happened. But no, you took the easy way out for 12 years. And now my daughter may not be mine. I want to hear how you're sorry and blaming me. I mean, I don't think I'm alone, guys, in this, my take on this. She said she did it for the attention and affirmation of her desirability. Attention and validation.
This is the part where I disagree slightly with the manosphere and, other. I think you need to really show your wife affection throughout your relationship. because this happens a lot. And I'm not saying it's your fault in a sense or anything like that. But as a good man and a good leader of the household, you want to prevent a lot of these little, what do you call it, risks in a sense. Just saying. I'm not saying that you shouldn't work hard and put in those hours. I'm saying work hard, put in those hours, and give her a little bit of something. Sometimes they need it. And it makes sense because they're women.
It's a drug. When I asked why she was having unprotected SCX with him, she said she was just stupid.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a little kid. Why'd you do that?
At least that was accountable.
Well, that works with a 5-year-old because they usually are little dumbasses. But a grown-ass adult? No. I was just stupid.
I mean, she was.
I went to Gray's place of business to confront him, and he saw me and ran out of the back of the shop. Fucking coward. Next day, I called him and asked him what the fuck. His exact answer was, listen to this, guys, shit happens. And that my wife's daughter was my problem. That's his response. Shit happens, bro.
Shit happens.
I would have beat this guy to beat the living shit out of him. I would have gone full Batman style on him, and then gone the Punisher.
I'm Batman.
Shit happens. That's his answer.
That is one of the most ridiculous things I can. Wow.
This was your so-called friend. This is why men and women, when you're married, no, your wife isn't friends and hanging out with other dudes or anything like that, ever. And the same thing for you, 4%ers that watch me, there are women that your husband should be hanging out with other women either.
True.
You want to have buddies that are opposite sex? We can divorce.
I usually only hang out with women when it's with my friends, because I have groups of friends that bring in women, but that's about it. I don't hang out with single women by myself. It's kind of awkward, unless it's a date.
I asked him what about the money I had spent raising his child, and he said if I wanted to play it that way, he would insert himself in her life. A wrong thing to say to me. I told him exactly, motherfucker, you cannot compete with me financially nor legally. I will bring a shitstorm to you, your family, and drain every dollar you have defending yourself in court, even if it costs me $1 million. I'll fuck you up and destroy your life.
My man.
I hung up the phone, and that was the last time I ever talked to him. My next call was to the Gray's wife, telling her the entire story, and letting her know I was considering suing him. She better get half her assets quick. There you go. Good for you. Go scorched earth in this motherfucker. And yeah, of course, tell his wife she is the innocent party here.
She is.
I mean, who knows? Maybe she was doing something bad too. But the point is, I'm glad you let her know. And yeah, get your money out. I'd raised my daughter for 9 years, and this was not her fault. It's not her fault.
It isn't.
Absolutely, it's not her fault. She's probably a great little kid. You know? If I go scorched earth, this will harm her and my other kids and cause hard feelings. Even though my daughter was not biologically mine, she was mine emotionally. I loved her, and continue to support her was no problem for me. The dilemma is to get revenge and enjoy Gray and my wife's suffering, or to let it go and just get a divorce. After a week, I decided to use this nuclear option for the best deal I could get for my wife, and only launch if it was necessary. There you go. That way,
Okay.
Here's what's going to happen, sugar muffin, sweetie pie. If you don't give me the divorce that I want on the terms that I want, I'm going scorched earth. That's what's going to happen. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to hurt your kids. As it turned out, Gray's wife took him to the cleaners with half his assets, big alimony, and child support. Awesome. You should have banged his wife afterwards. In his divorce, my wife was...
Don't do that. Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. If someone really wants to go scorch earth, I wouldn't suggest it.
Deposed and admitted under oath she cheated with him and his wife. Okay. The wife was deposed and admitted under oath she had cheated with him and his wife. Dropped the boom on him. He had to sell his business to satisfy her settlement. So it sounded like, for a second, it sounded like she was cheating with him and his wife. That's not it. He just wrote this wrong. I laid this out to my wife what I was planning, and she was horrified. She asked me what I wanted, and I laid out the divorce terms. Visitation, fair asset split, no alimony, and she agreed. My attorney drew up the paperwork, and her attorney made some slight changes, and we filed. She kept saying she wanted to work out our marriage. She was so sorry, and I told her I needed the entire truth. No more trickle truth information. She owed it to me. Work on the marriage. That's easy on her part. 12 fucking years she was cheating on you with this motherfucker. Oh, we can just go to therapy and wipe that off the books in after 2 sessions.
Right.
It was a mistake. I'm so sorry. No. The first cheating was in 1982 before we got pregnant. We got pregnant? No, you did not get pregnant. She got pregnant. With our middle child. She said she used protection with him then, and I was sure my son was mine because we share many physical attributes. She still claimed only 7 times. They were on again, off again with the affair over the years. 7 times my butt. She and Gray used his home, my home, and my bed. The front seat of the pickup truck, and in our bathroom. It's bad enough in one thing if they were meeting at the local Motel 6 or Comfort Inn. But in your own home, in your bed, in your bathroom, what a fucking bitch. She said it was over in 1991, but one night when I was out of town, the business burglar alarm went off and they called her at home. She called Gray to meet her there for support with the alarm police, and afterwards they had SCX in my office. And wait for it, for old time's sake. I remember her calling me since I was out of town after she got home to cover her ass by telling me Gray had showed up to support her with the alarm resolution. For old time's sake, in your office, your place of business. In 1995, she said she had a one-time thing with one of Gray's friends in the back of a pickup truck, and she put on a toy use show for him, and then one thing led to another, bullshit, and they had SCX with him. He was 20 years older than her. She's a piece of garbage. And going back to the whole thing that you married her at 19 years old, and with her getting pregnant with your child.
I don't even know if she was a real virgin, brother.
Rushing into things and all that. You didn't really get to know her too well, and there's no excuse for this. There's no mercy. Another non-answer as to why. She also confessed to me that on the occasion she had SCX with Gray in our bed. She did him unprotected in late afternoon and that evening, and she did him unprotected in late afternoon and that evening, and she allowed me to go down on her. When asked why, she said the same thing. She was stupid and mad at me.
Fuck. Damn. She cucked you so hard, brother. Damn, she cucked you so hard that you ate her with another man's inside of her, dude. That's fucking whore.
This dude was showing up and banging his wife in his house, in his bed, unprotected. And later on that day, they were fooling around. She obviously didn't have a shower, didn't douche, and he went down on her. You guys can connect the dots here. Aside from disgusting, this is her way. This is beyond an affair, wanting attention and validation. She wanted to punish your husband. And now she's so sorry, wants to fix.
No, this reminds me of that one story of one chick said she went to go cheat with a guy at the gas station and came back, and then her boyfriend ate her out, and she just laughed it off. I think women really feel dominant or feel wonderful when they do shit like this to men.
The marriage, she's the fucking devil. That's why it infuriates me how this story, well, you know. The divorce got finalized over the next year, and as a single guy, I was in the middle mode of getting even with her, the truth. And I dated as many women as I could and had a body count going. No married women, no attached women. Everyone was looking for a relationship, and I was not. That was probably part of the attraction. That's probably why. No kidding. You had your own business. You do well for yourself. Of course they were looking for a relationship.
Hell yeah.
And the more you said you did not want a relationship, then they chased after you. This would be the end of the story with me living the single life and enjoying the kids and dealing with the pain and suffering brought on by the betrayal. However, at about a year or so divorced, my kids were always talking about how their mom had changed, and they kept pushing me to talk to my ex-wife. The kids wanted the family back together. The kids did not experience what you went through. The kids were not betrayed, heartbroken. The kids were kids.
Bro, they're kids. They're going to get manipulated, like, by the mother to say these things and to confront with these things. Like, it's so easy for women to manipulate their kids to do shit like this.
Get it. And there's no way the kids knew the extent of the story here. My oldest daughter, now 21 at the time, acted as an intermediary, and my ex-wife offered to go to couples counseling because she wanted to see if there was a future with me, and she wanted to make good on her betrayal.
Make her...
You would think that your daughter would be like hating her mom's guts.
I would
And I have
assume.
to, I'm sorry to say, sir, but I have to question some things about your daughter.
That's what I
If all of a sudden
said.
she's taken the mom side as the cheater and did all that all those years, I have to say it. I was feeling very empty, doing mindless sex with many women, and I really missed my kids and family at times, remembering the good times with my wife, so I agreed. Smack! No, that's crazy. You remember the good times that were when there was all this cheating and bullshit going on behind the scenes. It was a big sham, a big show, sir. After many months of counseling, we started dating again. Smack! And the old spark came back. We dated for several months until sex started.
Sorry, guys. Tom has cancer, and we're probably gonna put him down tomorrow. So he's in a lot of pain. So he came to the room and wanted to lay down. Sorry for the interruption.
And we started talking about remarrying. Smack! I believe she was remorseful and had indeed changed. Once a cheater, always a cheater. And it wasn't like a one-time thing. This happened for 12 years. No, she's not changed. She didn't want to be alone. She no longer had the lifestyle that your income provided because she wasn't getting any alimony. Come on. Since then, our marriage has been faithful to each other and completely loveless. After the first few years. Of course it's loveless because guess what? Yeah, you missed the life you had and your kids and all that, but then it all came back to you of what she did for so long, and you can't trust her. And you've been now in this loveless marriage all this time since then. Our marriage is mechanical, and she has ongoing issues with her guilt from her betrayal and my body count. She has issues with your body count, really? After you guys split up and you were banging all these women, she takes issue with that? No.
Pour through those women.
For the first 20 years of our remarriage, I was working hard and the business thrived. Our assets piled up, kids all went to great schools, and all became successful. I've since sold the business, and I'm now retired. Well, congratulations on your kids doing well for themselves and all that. You're obviously a good dad. You did that right, and your business being successful. I'm happy with that part. I still have issues with her betrayal of 40 years ago and the biological missing link to my daughter. Every time I talk or look at my daughter, I'm reminded of the images of her getting pregnant by Gray in the front seat of his pickup truck and she doing him in my bed.
Ooh.
I was working my ass off and she was giving away her ass. Tough thing to ever resolve. Images of me consuming Gray's love juice and my wife is devastating.
God, don't.
And
Why think about that, brother? Why? Why?
avoid sex with her. We've been sexless for years. Seems the older I get, the worse things bother me. I see that image constantly. It's been a loveless marriage all these years for 20 some years, whatever it is. They haven't hooked up in years because obviously he doesn't want to do it. They are roommates. They handle the kids and all that. It's, you should never have gotten back with her. And frankly, you should be with her now.
This is where I actually disagree with SSM. SSM and I are quite different on this. I think he did a good job. He went back with her and the kids are successful. That to me is actually a lot more important. Even though it's a loveless marriage, I mean, I'm sure he probably still gets some cheeks, hopefully, outside. But I think it was the best choice for the kids. And yes, a lot of you guys are going to say I'm a fucking idiot and all these things, but I truly care more about the kids than I would care about myself. I'm already working hard. I'm already working 80 hours a week, making money and doing all these things. I just want my kids to be well off. I want them to be successful. It doesn't matter if I'm not getting sex from a woman that I live with. Who cares about that shit?
Which I'm coming to. So my life is a loveless marriage, and I'm too old now to make a change with minor health issues and unwilling to change a working relationship and life. We're just friends now living together, and this will be until one or both of us dies. Happiness, joy, love, desire, sex, intimacy are gone and will never come back.
Oh, I guess he isn't slaying cheeks on the side. Good on him too for that. Like, I'd rather him not. Tell the truth.
Our assets and trust for our kids, grandkids, and now great-grandkids. With a few years of life left, divorcing is not worth the financial and legal pain. I disagree. The moral of the story is, folks, do not remarry a cheater. You will never get the images out of your mind and constantly be on the defensive of another cheating episode. I should have stayed clear of her and remained single. Don't do it. Thanks for listening and taking this warning from an older, wiser man that made a mistake, a life-altering mistake. Well, sir, I'm sorry you've suffered, but at the end of the day, you made the choice of getting back with her, remarrying her after all the horrible things she did to you. And I want to point out, she wasn't just horrible to you, she was to your kids. Doing that, you divorced because of her actions. She did that to your family. And yeah, okay, the kids missed you and missed the family and all that. And I still question your older daughter and that her motives there. But anyhow, no. And you've had this unhappy life ever since. You're 67. Yes, she says some minor health issues and you're too late to get divorced. I say the hell with that. I say get rid of her. So at least you can walk with your head held a little higher,
If I was this gentleman, I would have probably ended it when all the kids were, out of school, married and all that. I would have ended it then. There's no need for the other 20, 30 years afterwards.
I'm not saying you can divorce her and go off and you're 67. With fresh Cialis and Viagra, go bang more chicks and double your body count. What I'm saying is that at least find some level of happiness, because and your kids won't like it, and your friends won't like it, and the grandkids won't like it, and the great grandkids won't like it, but you got to take care of you. She won. She did all that and got you back anyway. And I got a question.
I do admit how SSM said it. She did win in the end. And
her whole missing you thing is probably because, and I'm a cynic, but I'm a realist. When you divorced the first time, or the only time, you'd have to pay her alimony. So she then had to go back to, she was working, and so she didn't no longer have that lifestyle she was accustomed to. That sucked. So she was willing to do anything, And look what happened after a few years. And this is why I tell you guys, never take back a cheater, because you're never going to get that out of your head. Her with the other guy, if you knew who it was, and her doing that in your bed, and you've probably been sleeping with one eye open ever since. Always looking over your shoulder. That is no way to live. So at the end of the day, yeah, this is a great warning story, and some guys will certainly listen to this and will help them.
See, I think this gentleman got back together not particularly for the kids. If that was his mentality and like his frame of mind, I don't think he would be so miserable, because the success of the kids is what, brings me the happiness. At least that's what I'm assuming. I don't have kids yet, but I'm going to assume if my kids do well in life and, become great members of society, I'd be proud as fuck.
And that's why I'm doing this, but I'm not in your shoes, so I can't, I don't get it, obviously, but but a different perspective is, you've been this unhappy this long, and some people may say, well, you're staying strong for your kids, then grandkids and all that, and you don't want to rock the boat at this point in your life. You could live to be 97 years old, man. My dad learned to live to be 97 years old, 30 more years with her. And it ain't very healthy to be sitting around just hoping like hell that you wake up one morning and she passes away in her sleep. Then you're off the hook. No. Damn. And I don't want to go through the divorce again and all that, but...
All right, now I do admit, and I'm a little bit more I see the SSM's side of things. Yeah, we do live to be a lot longer now. I don't see myself living past 75, maybe 80, just because I probably didn't live the healthiest life when I was younger. I'm only trying to do healthy now, but we don't know.
Even if you got divorced a second time, and yeah, you took the hit financially, something tells me you'd be just fine.
Yeah.
And at least you walk around with your head held high. Yeah, the kids will be pissed off, like, Dad, you're doing this to us again, and the grandkids are mad, but I'm wired different. And a lot of guys who watch this channel are also wired.
Yes. SSM, that's why I like watching SSM. He's wired quite differently. He's American born, American raised, and like Midwest raised. I was Cambodian born, came to the United States, and raised in California. So yeah, our takes are quite different. Like, especially the family take about the kids. For me, I would sacrifice the happiness for the kids, to get the kids to be in a successful state. Remember, as red pillars, that we know so much about how the world works and how the statistics are. I cannot genuinely put my own blood through those statistics. I really can't. Even me, I had 2-parent household. I still went to jail twice, guys. So even with 2 great parents, I still was a degenerate in some ways when I was a kid. So if I can't imagine my kids without me in their life. It might be even worse than that.
Are different, and they're going to tell you what I'm telling you. But anyhow, I do appreciate you writing this in. And I would have loved it if the story ended with you being single and her off being miserable alone with her box wine and cats, although I love cats.
I love cats
But
too.
that's not what happened. So we'll use this story as a warning, and maybe he'll think a few things through. Who knows? But anyhow, there you go, guys.
Shout out to SSM. Sorry about Tom Tom. I don't really mention him too much. Yeah, it's just the last couple of weeks have been pretty miserable. We've discovered he had cancer, and it's to the point where it's not worth it for the surgery. So my roommate decided that he's probably gonna put him down tomorrow, and he'll scratch at my door to try to come in and get attention and get a little bit. He's just so frail right now, and I let him do what he wants because I'm not gonna see him again after tomorrow. So I'm a little emotional. Sorry, guys. Please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And catch you guys next time.